Lightworkers Unite is a podcast and social show hosted by intuitive women, lightworkers, and most importantly, friends, Mayume and Manjeet. Welcome to our podcast, where we believe there is a lightworker within all of us.
Whether you are a medium, an educator, or a nuclear technologist, there's a lightworker within you, and we have work to do.
This is a call to action.
Let's get into it.
Let's get into it.
Hello, my sister. How are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
We're so excited. We have so much
Oh my
to
God,
talk
we're
about.
such a weirdo. I know.
Did you have a good Mother's Day? It was Mother's Day.
I really did. Considering we had like 3 sporting activities, all girls, we're all over the place, and we had this window of a couple hours. So, and they just kind of left it up to me saying, well, whatever you want to do, which is good and bad. I'm sure other women would agree with me. Sometimes I'd like it if someone, I don't know, planned it for me and said, okay, Mom, you don't have to do anything. Just leave it up to us. We got you. But no, I have the, what do you want to do? What do you want to do? And I'm like, I don't know. So then nothing happens kind of. But I said, well, fine. If I get to do whatever I want to go furniture shopping.
Oh yeah.
So, because we have a house, that's being built in Lake Chelan, a vacation home, and we need to fill it. That's part of my overwhelm that's happening. And I was like, shit, you're all coming with me because I get to say whatever and you guys have to do what I want. So I dragged them to the furniture store.
Nice.
But we had fun. It was actually fun. And we actually checked boxes and got shit done. So I was like, woo!
Congratulations. Yes.
Thanks. I know. So exciting for Mother's Day. How about you? What did you do?
Oh, it was good. Yeah, I slept in. So that was awesome. Yeah, it was great.
Awesome.
And then the girls and William made brunch for me. So that was really sweet. And I, in the morning, I Zoomed. On Sundays, I Zoom with my family. So my parents, are up in Canada. So we all, and then my brother, I have one brother in Vancouver, and then I have another brother in New York. And then my sister, of course, is in the UK, is in London. And so we, every Sunday, since this pandemic, this is a pandemic keeper for us, is connecting every Sunday at 10 o'clock. It works out perfect with the time zones. Everybody can kind of get there at that time. And so we just got to celebrate my mom and just love on her and see her in this way. And I get to, celebrate my sister. She's one of the most amazing mothers I know. So yeah, that was really awesome. And then I made my family paint with me. So that was really fun. I used your idea.
You did?
Yeah, the Mandela, the painting.
Tell me, yeah.
Well, it was quite comical, I'm gonna just say. So you have 4 canvases, and this is one of Mayume's amazing art workshops. So once shit starts opening up, you have to have her over. It's a really fun team building kind of connecting kind of journey, isn't it?
Yeah.
So
it is. But of course, it's guided, I'm sure. It was hard to tell you, I think, through text, what to do, but I'm sure you guys figured it out to make it so where it lines up. That's the key.
Yes. Yeah. So there's 4 canvases, there's 4 of us. And then I just kind of drew a big circle. So all 4 pieces are going to connect in as a circle, right? And so that was the only criteria, was that you have to just make sure that there's a delineated line for the circle part.
Yeah.
So that when they all come together, it'll look.
And there's usually 4 or 5 circles, the big one, and then it goes in, and then you have the one in the middle circle in pencil.
Oh yeah. Well, we did do that, but we kind of, I just said, go do, just open your heart, just write.
I love it.
Just, if you want to do a Mandela, great. You want to do, a picture or something, or you've got I've got these really cute stencils that I got in the mail. And so Mina did a whole bunch of stenciling inside her little circle. And so that was really pretty. And then William did a portrait of me.
Are you serious? Oh my God. Oh my God.
It was.
Is he an artist?
No. So it's kind of awesome. I look a little realistic, but kind of cartoonish. And it's hilarious. And he was dying. He was laughing the whole time.
I bet.
But, that's just my family. So I was like, that's just gotta
Love
happen
it.
that way. But yeah, so that was great. And then our amazing neighbors had a beautiful Mother's Day dinner. You know, our
Oh,
amazing Pero neighbor, he's great
yes.
and a fabulous cook. So that was really lovely that they
That's awesome.
had us over for like a filet mignon. It
Okay.
was
My God, look at you guys.
unbelievable. Yeah, it was. I didn't get
That's
to
fantastic.
cook. I didn't do anything. I was just like, I'm gonna paint, do my shit.
Oh, that's right. No, I didn't
No,
cook or clean. No,
yeah, right.
no.
Yeah, so it
There's
was
two
great. And
days that you get a pass, and that's Mother's Day and your birthday, where you say, hell no.
yeah, it was lovely. It was great. It was
Good. I'm so
a
glad.
nice day, and I love that I got to see my mom, and that was really fun.
I was thinking about you actually. You popped up, you and your mama popped up in my little head, just, thinking of you guys. And I know how much you miss her and want to give her a hug and hold her and see her face. And yeah, I know.
Yeah, it's really been hard and it's been and I can tell like they're lonely. I can tell, like I can
Oh,
feel it. But she's putting on a happy face and, being very courageous and, oh, it's going to come soon. Don't worry about it that time. She's
oh,
very positive and, but I can tell there's a part of her. And it was her birthday, May 3rd. That was our other recording. And then
oh,
it was their 55th anniversary the next day. So
oh,
it's a
wow.
really busy couple of days for them that I just feel like a bit of a hole. So,
Oh
but
gosh, I'm sorry.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it's okay
Soon,
though. I'm sure I'm not
I,
alone. A lot of people, I'm sure, are feeling
yeah,
that pain. So
especially because Canada is just kind of not letting people in right now.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
So that's too bad.
yeah, it's not good. So I have to learn to forgive the Canadian government for not getting their shit together and vaccinating efficiently as they can. So that
Yeah.
kind of
Yeah.
takes us into our topic today.
It
Of
does. It does. Yep. Hold on one second. Okay.
okay,
Okay. So anyway, like I was saying, we had to do a quick little pause there to fix some technical difficulties. But yeah,
yes,
our topic is forgiveness, right? That's what we decided when we were doing our planning. And I'll tell you, for me, the reason why I really want to speak to forgiveness, and it's my upcoming sacred circle for this month, is because tomorrow is May 11th, and it's going to mark 25 years of my father's passing, since his murder.
yeah,
And I'm kind of like almost in disbelief that I haven't seen my dad in 25 years. It's
mm,
kind of weird. It's so surreal. But yeah, it's just a long ass time. And I thought, yeah, took me a long time to get to this place. And as you know, and I think others who know me very well, because I didn't really make it public, I guess I am now, is
yeah,
that I did 2 years ago. Well, I guess it's a year and a half ago that I went to the prison, the women's prison, and sat across from my father's murderer for
mhm,
4 hours, actually, and spoke to her. I needed to see her face to face, see her eyes, see her body, read her kind of to see where she was at in her life and to see how I could. And I didn't go there for her. Let's just be clear. It's not like I was
yeah,
going there to give her forgiveness. I was going there for me to
yeah,
find a way to release her from my heart, release her from my energy field, just to release her from my life because I was giving her way too much power that she didn't
mm,
even know and too much energy. So, forgiveness is such a weighted word. And this is what we were talking about before we started. Um, you, beautiful Manjeet, helped me when I was going through this
mm,
process about that word forgiveness. Because for some reason, for me to say, like, I forgive you, even though those are really powerful words, it still was very difficult to come out.
yeah,
So I needed a different word.
yes,
So, right. And you helped me. It was like release. I release you. I release all of this to where it doesn't matter anymore. I don't hold anything against her. And that's really heavy to say. And I'm sure people who know me and my father, my family, and the situation may not agree, because there's a lot of people that are very angered by this event. But
Yeah.
I am in such a better place because of that release, because of finding a way to forgive, and move on.
Yeah.
So anyway,
Yeah.
that's kind of why I wanted to talk about it. Yeah.
I love that. Yeah. Yeah. It was quite the journey, right? Like forgiveness is you're so right. It's not just about letting something go and then you just move on. There's a whole nother dimension to forgiveness. And that's about opening our heart chakra. It's about embracing empathy. It's about embracing compassion, right? And that's not for them necessarily. It's also for yourself.
Right.
Like, like so that
And
empathy piece
mostly.
of more importantly, actually, right? It's so it's that other dimension of what is really forgiveness. To me, it is really layered. It's kind of what you're saying. It's,
Yeah.
yeah, letting go is one part of it and moving on, but that
Mhm.
forgiveness piece that's really, really important, I think, and critical for your healing is just that empathy, kind of cracking open
Yeah.
that heart energy to just really be, in your power. It's like the classic flip the script situation, right?
Mhm.
Like that's one of my coaching mantras is, okay, how are we flipping the fucking script on this really shitty
Mhm.
situation where you feel empowered, you embrace freedom, and you embrace positivity in your life, right?
Yeah.
Kind of fuels that unconditional love where we want to really live. Yeah.
That's where I needed to live, because
Yeah.
it was heavy and bogging me down, and I really needed to figure this out. And I really love this saying. And my dear friend and neighbor gave me this necklace that was attached to this little saying that said, sometimes we can't get over something. The best way to get over something is to move through it, right?
Yeah.
So that really just stayed with me. And even though that's a common phrase, people hear it, that resonated with me. Like, I'm not trying to get over it.
Hmm.
I'm trying to move through it. I'm trying to process and move through my life and still acknowledge that this happened. These are events in my life, but I don't need it to weigh me down any longer. I don't need it to be, I don't need to identify with it any longer either.
Yeah.
That shit, like, I don't want that. And I don't want my father's legacy and memory to be about his murder. I want it
Yeah.
to be about his life, how he lived. So,
Yeah.
and I think coming to a place of forgiveness is hard for a lot of people, whether or not you lost a loved one at the hands of someone else, which, I think I can speak to that now. And it's also just the little tiny, paper cuts throughout the day of where
Yeah.
people have wronged you, betrayed you, like fucked you up. And
Yeah.
you hold on to each and every one, and you're not willing to say, "Ugh, okay, I need to let that go. I need to
Yeah.
release that, or I need to forgive and move on." So it doesn't have to be this monumental, huge, ginormous thing in your life that's weighing you down. It can be all the little things on your path that you're finding that are bogging you down and making it so you can't move forward. Right.
Yeah. 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 Wait, I love that because when I think about the people that I have opened my heart to forgive, right, that have
Yeah.
wronged me or done something
Uh-huh.
that has left a scar in my heart and my head and my mind, and when I say that, I mean a scar in my head being afraid to love again or being afraid to, rationalize,
Trust.
trust and all that stuff. Um, that forgiveness, it's not like you just wake up one day and it's you've forgiven them, you
Oh,
know?
no.
And I think that's the piece that I'm really excited to talk about is, what not only what is forgiveness and what does it mean, to just really add that empathy piece for them and for yourself, but
Mhm.
also just really honoring the process of forgiveness, that it really is this incremental these baby bite-sized pieces that just you're rewiring your brain. You're actually
Mm.
really doing some deep and profound work to just rewire that pain that keeps coming up every time you think of that person, or every time,
Right.
like I've had some really shitty experiences in business. So every time I bump into that name, I I get triggered and hurt
It
and pain.
triggers.
So it's been a process for me to like just really like slowly every time that I get that feeling, to just go, stop, breathe. Let's
Mhm.
open my heart, get into myself. This isn't about him or them
Right.
anymore. This is about me. This is about how
Right.
I want to, move forward with this. Because he doesn't give a shit if I forgive him.
No
Doesn't
shit.
give two shits.
Yeah.
But I care. Is
Yeah.
the damage is like a perpetual damage to myself at this point,
Yeah.
because he's out of my life.
Right.
They're out of my life. She's out of my life, right?
Yeah. And they don't even have any idea that you're even thinking about them or harboring
Yeah,
this or holding on to it.
totally.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah. And
exactly.
so just kind of like zooming out and kind of like really thinking about like, we don't just wake up one day and go, oh yeah, I forgive and I'm lovely. Ha ha. It's so great. I'm so
Oh,
full of empathy and love and growth. That's bullshit. That's not
that's
reality
bullshit.
at all. I mean, if it happens to you, that's fabulous. But in my
And
experience,
I'd
in
like to know how
reality,
you got there.
yeah,
If there's someone
exactly.
out there who knows how to do that, please fucking tell us. How
Yeah,
did you?
there's like some switch in your like back of your neck, like a little android that goes click. I'm good.
Wouldn't
I
that be
forgive you.
nice?
I know,
Wouldn't
but
that be nice?
it's rather that process, right? It's that every day, just increasing that awareness around what am I ready to let go of? Where can I invite empathy and compassion into my life around this situation? Yeah,
Mhm. That was the hardest part for me is empathy and compassion
yeah,
for this woman who had shot and stabbed my father violently
yeah,
and viciously. So, without just so you guys all know, without any um, use of alcohol or drugs or anything, like sober. So, but mind you, she was 15 years old at the time too. So there's so many
yeah,
factors. And what you said, I really agree with this completely, is that when I thought of her, or I thought of, well, she was in prison for 20 years before I did actually see her. But anytime I heard her name or thought of her,
yeah,
I was angry, like rage and sick to my
yeah,
stomach. My
yeah,
body was telling me, yeah, just in that in itself was just so not healthy. And so that's, I think, how after all the work that I did. And it wasn't just like, oh, I'm going to set this up, go to the prison, meet her. And then I walked away
yeah.
going, done. I mean, there was a process of, 6 months leading up to this dialogue that
Right.
I was really actually impressed with the process and the organization of the facilitators and how it all came to be. So that really supported me in this effort and to bring healing for both of us. But again, I went there for me. And after this, now that's how I know that I'm okay, was because every time I think of her, I have
Yeah.
I have nothing. There's no good, there's no bad, there's peace. I just feel like
Oh,
I'm not triggered anymore at all. And I just feel so good
wow.
to say that. Like, it feels so good to say that. Yeah.
Isn't that lovely? Yeah. So how did you get there? How did you get to that point of forgiveness for her?
Oh, such a great question. So I'll tell you, one thing is I needed to talk about what was going on with me. So obviously we worked together at the time. You really helped me um, kind of come to grips with my own shit of,
Mhm.
why I was feeling this way. So that I would say, so, and counseling, I've done counseling, so life coaching,
Yeah.
to work on myself. And honestly, it was the help of another medium.
Yeah.
It was on Hay House Radio where I called in. I just knew I was going to get picked too, right? I mean, psychic
Yeah.
medium. I call in, I knew that they were going to pick me, and I wanted to speak to, it's these sisters, Sandra Ann Taylor and Sharon Ann Klingler is their name. So I used to listen to them all the time. I called in just because I felt like, I don't know, I thought my dad might come through, and he did. And his message was that he hoped that I would one day find it in my heart to release her. And that was the
Mm,
words. And I mean, of course, I was crying, and that's when I
yeah.
knew. I thought, wow, being able to talk to my dad or receive that message from him was huge,
Yeah.
huge. And that what it did is it planted a seed of, oh my gosh, my dad would like that. And I had another medium years ago tell me that he had already forgiven her as soon as he crossed over, right? Which
Yeah.
one sounds like my dad, and two, I hear that from spirit a lot, that they don't carry,
Mhm.
anger, grudges. That doesn't carry with you in spirit because you release all that human emotion, right? They may still have lessons to learn and soul growth, but they don't take that stuff. So it doesn't surprise me that someone told me he would have forgiven her, because that's just who he was. So
Aw,
that really
love
helped me on this journey to realize that if my dad can forgive her, and if he would like for me, then it must mean he knows I'm capable of it, and he must know that it would benefit me. You and I know how much it was beneficial to my healing and to my growth, because I was going down a different path, you know,
it. Yeah.
at the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
so that and journaling, I mean, to be honest with you, I journaled a lot
Yeah.
as to
Mm,
my emotions, and I did what I actually teach in my journaling jam sessions is the fire ceremony forgiveness letter that
mm,
I wrote this long ass, really nasty letter to her, just like I
mhm.
let her have it, just full of anger. I cried the whole time. And then I just kept going until I had nothing else to say. And then I
Yeah.
didn't read it or anything. I didn't look at, and I it probably did with my eyes closed because I don't remember it. Just let it flow. And then I crumpled it up, took it outside, and I burned it. And I watched the smoke go up. And I said,
Mm,
I release you from my energetic field, from my soul. So I did a bunch of little things that I felt compelled to do, and talking with
yeah.
other people who have had loss and just sharing it with other
Mm.
people, because I'm human and I need to know that I'm not alone in this, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Um, I know so I've done your jam sessions, your journaling jam sessions. I loved it so much. I can't even tell you. They're so much fun. So you have to sign up when she has the next one, for our listeners. But I'll share when did my forgive my letter. I wrote all
Yeah.
this stuff, about what I wanted to let go of and who I was fucking mad at. And like,
Yeah.
and I was shocked. Like, cause I do a lot of work in this realm. Like I'm pretty good. Like I let shit go
Yeah.
pretty readily. Um, but I was really surprised how much like I was still holding on to. So if it
Mhm.
hadn't have been for that writing exercise, it just came out. And these are like people from like way back and, people all up and down the line. And the second part of this is to burn it. And I couldn't burn it. And so I had shared with our
Interesting, right?
group that I was really struggling to burn it. And I think that might be part of this forgiveness piece is
Mhm.
sometimes we want to be angry. Sometimes it's like I can't really explain it, but it almost feels like a crutch. Like it feels like you're so comfortable with that feeling of not liking them and being upset with them that is our first line of defense. That is our path of least resistance, as our straight shot.
Mhm.
And when you're being challenged with letting that go, what do you mean? Like, what do you mean I can't hate that person anymore? I can't,
Yeah.
like, it felt very vulnerable. Like, cause I'm like, that's just a staple that these
Right.
fuckers are in my, are on my list. And so that was really,
And at some point, as you would say, it probably served you to hold on to that anger at some,
Yeah.
because I think that
Yeah.
it served me all these years. It was a protective, defensive
Yeah.
mechanism. You're like, no, I ain't fucking forgiving you. That's
Yes. Yeah.
bullshit. You don't get to dance on my father's grave and go have a life. And, no, like,
Yeah.
so that I think it served me in wherever I
Yes.
was. And then it didn't serve me anymore.
Yeah, it didn't serve you anymore. I love that. And that was the really eye-opening thing for me is like, wow, that forgiveness piece, it's like, am I really ready to let that go? Like, am I really ready to like let go of these little crutches that I hold so close to me in a way that I never even realized? And
Right.
then, I ended up, and you had a great suggestion, is I had to cut the letter. So had folded it all up, and then I cut it into little strips,
Mhm.
and then I could burn it. It was
I
like I
know. You
needed
did it right
another
there
s
during the
I
you did it right there
did.
during the workshop. You're like, "Look, everybody."
And there's like
It
a
was
fire
awesome.
going. Everyone's like, "What the hell,
It's
Maggie?" But
no,
yeah.
it was actually, I thought, really powerful that you did it
Mm.
with the support of everyone in class watching this. And then I think it inspired someone else who was having the same issue. Was like,
Yeah.
I was afraid or not ready to burn it. I always
Yeah.
say, like, crumple it up in a big ball, throw it outside, light it on fire and watch it go. But it
Yeah.
doesn't, that's all. It sounds great, but you're like, now what do I do with this? Because the minute I burn
Yeah.
it, it's gone. And so you're like, no, maybe I'll
Yes.
maybe I'll hold on to it just a
I
little
wanna
bit
hold on to it.
longer.
Maybe I don't wanna forgive quite
Maybe I
yet. Like,
don't want to
I wanna
forgive.
still be
Maybe,
mad, you know?
yeah,
So I think that was kind of like, I think that we would be remiss to not talk a little bit about that mechanism of forgiveness, that really observing the resistance to forgiveness and without judgment. Like,
right.
I was more shocked that I couldn't burn it. But I also did feel like I was judging myself a little too. Like, what the fuck is wrong with me? Like, I don't want
Right.
to hold on to this. Like, this doesn't serve me. But maybe there
Mhm.
was a part that where you like you said earlier, that anger did fuel me, and it did really help me um in business. Like, I was very, very in tune to this kind of behavior and what it would look like in my world, and I avoided those kinds of people and situations moving forward. So,
That's
you know
your lesson. Maybe that was part of the lesson of why this happens, to get you there so that now you could
yeah,
discern and recognize. And now that you already know,
yeah,
maybe that's why it came up. Like, you already know how to do this now. It served its
yeah,
purpose. So let's,
yeah,
if it
yeah.
doesn't serve you anymore, cut that shit out of there.
Cut it
But
out.
I
Cut it out.
I do agree with you that let's not judge ourselves or worry about, like,
Hmm.
God, am I a insensitive bitch because I'm not willing to forgive? Like, no, that
Yeah.
he fucked me over. I ain't forgiving
Yes.
that asshole. So I would say, if it
Yeah.
empowers you and it serves you, because sometimes we need that to stand strong. And like you said, it's just that's in us, the crutch. And then
Yeah.
I think you'll just tap into it and just know. It's comes to a point where, if it makes you stuck, right?
Yeah.
I'm stuck because
Exactly.
I can't move forward because of this anger,
Yeah.
of this, wretched grudge that I'm holding, this betrayal, this hate, this rage. Those are all very negative, low frequency, low vibrational emotions and frequencies, and we just don't want to live
Mhm.
there. So that's why I could not live there, because other aspects of my life were saying, this is ridiculous, and I wasn't moving forward at all. And that's when shit falls apart. So I had to really go in and look at it, because what we resist persists,
Yeah.
one of my favorite sayings. And I had to really sit back and say, how am I going to render this? How am I going to make this better for myself? Not for anybody else, just for
Yeah.
me. Just
It's
for
for
me.
you. Yeah. Forgiveness is for you.
Yes.
It's really, some people might need it, but, you know, they want to feel that you've forgiven them, and that's great. But you don't have to do anything that you don't want to do. And I
Right.
love what you said about, like, It is. That's when you know, like, I was subconsciously holding on to some of this anger and this stuff, this fuel, this energy around, these people who had wronged me.
Mhm.
Um, but when I asked the question in that exercise, and I realized, oh, it doesn't serve me anymore. Like, I don't have to live with that anymore because it's done. Like, I'm okay. So for me, that was the next incremental step towards my personal healing. And then as soon
Yeah.
as I burned that bitch, I felt like it was
Right?
really palpable. I didn't
Yes.
even know it was there though. That was the funny thing. I was like, holy shit, I feel so much lighter in my chest. Like,
Liberated, right? It's like,
yeah,
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 you do, you feel lighter. It feels
yeah,
so good. And
yeah,
it does. I think it's really physically because it's leaving your auric field now. It's not in there. It's not part of us. We just released it and let it go. It's really important. So I think the word forgiveness is a heavy, heavy word. It's a big word and it means so many things to people. And so that's why if it's hard to use that word and to say, I forgive you, or I forgive myself, or whatever it is, then use a different word. Like you taught me,
yeah,
like I'm gonna release. And that was the word
yeah,
my dad used with the medium. He didn't say, I hope one day you can find it in your heart to forgive her. He said, I hope one day you find it
yeah.
in your heart to release her.
Yes, yeah,
And the word release had a double meaning. I didn't know it at the time because obviously she's now been released,
yeah.
because
Oh, yeah,
many different reasons that's something else, another
yeah.
podcast, but I'm okay with it. Just in case anyone's wondering, I'm okay with it. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and what oh man, what a powerhouse and a beautiful, powerful example of how forgiveness can transform your life, right? Like you are a different person because of
Oh yeah.
this. I mean, you could feel it. I could feel the shifting, that
Hmm.
you were making, and the shifting is internal. It's for yourself. It's like
Yeah.
like we said before, they don't give a fuck. They don't even, you might not even ever see them again. So what is the power of holding a grudge? Like,
Yeah.
you know,
To
and
be
so that
right,
makes,
to be
yeah,
righteous, to be like, I mean, who
yeah,
cares if no one cares? No one's
yeah,
taking tallies, like no one's judging me, but like Mayum, you should still hate her. I'm sure
mhm,
I'm sure there's plenty of people who hate her
yeah.
that um that
Think
probably
you should
can't
too.
understand, yeah,
Mhm,
who can't
mhm.
understand why I did that, to be honest,
Sure,
And I keep
absolutely.
saying it wasn't for her. Not at all. It was for me. All for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, that's the key. I think that's the key.
Mhm.
And so I think for our listeners, it might be interesting to ask yourself, these questions like, are you a grudge holder?
Yeah.
If you are, maybe ask yourself, to how is that serving me? Right. And like we said, maybe it is. Maybe it's keeping you strong and,
Yeah.
out of survival mode and kind of pushing through shit. But is it also potentially holding you back in any way? Another really powerful question to ask yourself is forgiveness, do you see forgiveness as a sign of weakness? I hear this a
Mm.
lot in my clients. I don't want to forgive them because then I feel weak. I feel
Mhm.
like
Yeah.
they've won.
They've won.
Does that
Yes.
resonate?
Yes, right. I get that. Yeah, because it's like, no, I'm I'm throwing in the towel. Okay, I forgive you. I'm out. And so they get to walk away saying, "Oh, see, yeah, there's a lot of weird shit in that." It's true that winning. I get
Yes.
that. Yeah, I get
Yeah.
that.
And so this is that opportunity to just bust the paradigm around that. Right? This is the time to say, what?
I love that. Bust the paradigm. That shit, I want that like in a big bubble above you. Bust the paradigm. That is
I know,
fucking
I love
awesome.
that shit so
I
much
love that. So
because
good.
that's what brings us freedom, and that is one of my core values is freedom, and I know it's yours as well. So
Oh, yeah.
this is something we really resonate with is this sense of freedom that like what does that really mean to be free? But when we're holding on to that grudge or we think we have judgment around forgiveness as weakness, we're we're not free
Yeah.
of that experience or that person,
Right.
you know? And so that just, I think, asking ourselves that question, you know, like where are you ready to dig? And like we said, it's not like you're gonna wake up tomorrow and everything's gonna be different. But even just asking yourself that question, I promise you, you're gonna start feeling a shift of energy, right?
Yeah.
Opening up yourself to personal empathy, love, self-love. Do you Are you ready for that? You know?
Absolutely. So speaking of self-love, that was kind of the two-parter of that fire ceremony, or that journaling
Mhm.
inquiry that I had done for myself. And I do it with clients, but I don't do it in the journaling jam sessions because it's too much to just do the one
Yeah.
person or incident. But the twofold is like, one side is, I forgive you for blah 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 blah, right? And you release it and let it go, let them have it. And then
Yeah.
when you're done, you flip it over and then you write, I forgive myself for
Mm,
it
yes.
being blind and stupid and naive, for
Oh,
allowing you to, blah, blah, blah.
yeah.
And it just goes on, because we have to also recognize that sometimes where we get stuck and where we can't move forward is because of the the hurt and um, the pain that we put on ourselves, where we
Yes.
have not been able to forgive ourselves. Oh my God, I can't believe I let that happen, or I
Oh,
can't believe
yeah.
I reacted that way, or whatever it is, the judgment we have on ourselves. So we have to learn first, we have to forgive ourselves
Mhm.
and whatever
Yeah.
patterns that's going on too. So, yes, it's about other people and those grudges, but man, like, look inside. Where are you holding yourself back?
Oh, yeah, yeah. I know for me in my business world, you know, when shit went sideways, I just remember, like, being so disgusted with myself. Like, I'm like, "How
Right.
am I that woman? How am I that girl that let A, B, C, D, and E happen? Where the fuck where was I? Like, why
Right.
wasn't I seeing that?" Like, you know,
Yeah.
I just was so hard on myself, like, you know, running full bore, you know, with 2 small children and trying to do all this stuff, and I just thought, "How did I miss it?" And
Yeah.
that was, you know, so when you said, you know, that forgiveness, self-forgiveness piece, that's when everything shifted for me. When I said,
Mm.
listen, and you know, my husband was really, William was really, really pivotal for me with that portion of it. Cause, you know, he really helps shine the light on, you know, man, that's not, you're not being fair to yourself, you know, by saying that,
Right.
like, because that wasn't part of what you were supposed to be doing. Like, you let somebody else take care of A, B, and C, and that's on them.
That's on
You
them.
can't do
Yeah.
everything, you know? We just
Yeah.
can't do everything, and so when we, release or relinquish some of these responsibilities to help you live your life, and, like, you get fucked, it's really hard because like, I trusted them, I
Yeah.
believed in them, you know, like, so
Yeah.
that all of that shit just starts coming out. So
Yeah.
that forgiveness piece is that empathy for yourself, that
Yeah. For
was a total
yourself.
game changer for me. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And
Yeah.
that speaks to, those that have really suffered something monumental, like maybe it's child molestation, maybe, um, I mean, because I've come across a lot of that in my readings, where someone had trauma, it shows up trauma, or, you know, dad comes in with an
Mhm.
apology because he had, yeah, raped or molested, and so there's that anger and trying to release or forgive the father. And let's say that they did, like, I'm peace with that, I've moved on, but there's still anger at themselves, right? They
Mhm.
can't forgive themselves. They blame themselves. Like, why didn't I fight? Why didn't I say something?
Mhm.
And then there's anger towards the mother because the mother didn't do
Mhm.
something. And so, it builds all this, but it really does get someone stuck. That's heavy shit that I'm talking about.
Yeah.
But just being kind and gentle,
Yeah.
right? Kind and gentle with yourself, like you said, and just on
Yeah.
saying that, hey, you know what? We're doing the best that we can with the tools that we were given, best that we
Yeah.
can with the tools that we were given. Um, and
Yeah.
my bestie Tracy, she learned this. along the way on her journey. And I love this phrase. She says, she learned that we are victims of victims.
Mm,
So in an instance in that, I mean, there's a pattern, and sometimes we have to stop it, and then we have to forgive, or we have to
mhm,
release it.
mhm,
And sometimes I think when we hold on to that anger, and then we're beating ourselves up, and then it takes on other forms of continued anger, or it just builds and builds, and that's where it gets sticky, and we get stuck, and we have these uh, detrimental patterns in our life that if we had just stopped for a moment and said, I need to release this. This is heavy on my body, on my heart, and I got to figure out how to let go of this and not let this be my story. I don't want to identify it with anymore. And like you said, just learn how to take the lessons that I got from it, right? And and then move on and let it go. Release it
yeah.
into the forgiveness world.
Yeah, I know.
Just
Yeah, that's really heavy. Yeah, I mean, that's
I know,
a
sorry. I took a
powerful
heavy turn.
stuff. Yeah. You took a hard left there. Oh my God.
Sorry. It just came up. I was like, wow, because
Yeah,
I that's been really
prevalent for
it's
you
huge.
in
It,
your
it has been
world.
in the
Yeah.
last couple of weeks.
Well, I know one of the
Yeah.
things that you've done with me in the past to kind of work through some of the stories that I have playing in my head is the regression, like where, you've taken me back into past lives and where, I get to rewrite the story. And so
Yeah.
that is, I know for me, that's been a really powerful way to create forgiveness, around the atrocities that have happened to me in other lives that have migrated somehow in my physical body now. Like going
Yes.
going through my breast cancer journey, we went back pretty far, and it was really powerful that there was a lot of forgiveness that was really needing to happen there as well.
Mhm.
So I just wanted to offer that, that is also, like, we're talking about forgiveness and how great it is, but offering some solutions on how to what would resonate with you, if that is something that would resonate with you. I was totally blown away by the regression soul session that you gave me during that really, really difficult time in my life. I'll never really be able to quite thank you enough, because it was really, really powerful, and it really helped me understand just, okay, the depth of the pain that I held on to in other lives that really were manifesting in this life, and I was like,
Yes.
oh, I can let that go. I can rewrite that shit. Oh, okay.
Yeah, how about
Let's do
that?
that. Yep, I'm doing that. I'm going to do that all day long. And we did. That was
Good.
so that was also really. And then I had another thing, another big hit that kind of came to me. It was well, two things while you were speaking. Um one of the other things that I do, I talk about a lot with forgiveness with clients is because I love brain science. Like, that's kind of my favorite thing. And
Yeah.
what we can do is actually think about our basal ganglia, right? It's right in the
Mhm.
middle of our brain. It's in the center of our brain. It's like the where the seed is of our brain, and it's in charge of
Mhm.
all the executive functions, behaviors, emotion, all that stuff. So one of these visualizations that I love to walk my clients through is um, just visualizing that part of your brain is pulsating this beautiful green healing light.
Mhm.
And what it's doing is it's rewiring your brain from the inside out. Right. So,
Mhm.
like, all of that programming, all of those traumas, all of that stuff that we're thinking about, we're holding on to and not allowing ourselves to forgive and release. Maybe that visualizing that rewiring of the brain, like releasing some of that wiring and creating more peace for
Mhm.
yourself, right? That is a really powerful way to, like, rewrite the script from
Mhm.
pain and anger into peace and freedom.
Mhm.
So I don't know if that serves people. I know a lot of my technical clients, that visualization is just really powerful to help embrace that energy of empathy, which is the
Yeah.
precursor. And it's like what we really want for true forgiveness. Yeah.
Right. So the visualization, tell me more about that. Is it obviously setting an intention first, right? So
Yeah.
setting the intention and then visualizing that happening.
Yes.
So you're just knowing that this is my goal, my intention is to
Yeah.
rewire this and clear that out. And I love the green light. I mean, that's
Yeah. Yeah. It's,
heart
I mean,
chakra light and it's healing light. Yeah, it's
yeah.
beautiful.
And you can imagine any color that really resonates with you. I had a client that had like, hers was just bright white. It was like the
Mm, yeah.
purest white light you can ever imagine. And it was just like ripping apart like all of these neurons that were firing in the color of red, that were
Mm,
like, her, her grudge holding anger pieces that, just whenever you hear that person's name, you're like, that fucking asshole. Like that anger was
yeah.
still.
Yeah.
So just rewriting that. So no words, it's all imagery. That's the piece that
Cool.
is really important, is removing all language, because what the basal ganglia, it's stockpiled all kinds of forgiveness in there, all kinds of love and energy, that we can use at our disposal. So it's almost
Mm,
like just opening up all these little
yeah.
doors around
I
that
love that.
beautiful center
Yeah.
to kind of help. I know, I'm a visualization
Yeah.
whore.
Well,
I love
yeah,
that
me
shit.
too. That's all I
I know.
do. I
So
love
yeah,
it. It's so powerful. That's the
yeah.
visualization. And speaking of visualization, I just thought of another way to, since we're doing this, is let's say someone that you need to forgive. Is I always say sometimes it's hard to forgive the person when you think of them or visualize them in front of you. So let's go back. So let's
Yeah.
say, for instance, it is someone that has hurt you, like you had trauma with that person. And every time you think of them, you feel sick and you're angry and you're like, fuck, I hate them. And you don't want to give them that release. So what I've done is I've had clients go back, visualization. We stand in the meadow, there's a bridge, right? You're on one
Mm,
side, it's just a little tiny bridge with a little uh, creek, running. But on the other side of that, you visualize the person at an age that you can forgive them. So sometimes we'll take a man and he's now, 6 years old. Instead,
mm,
like visualize and set the intention. Let's bring that soul forward, but it's still the same soul. It's still
yeah.
soul to soul work, but he's now 6 years old. He's pure. He's innocent. He is a product of his environment. So this is
Yeah.
before something happened to him. And this is
Yeah.
while he's running and playing and giggling and throwing rocks in the river. And he's just a boy who
Yeah.
was loved by a mother and he's a brother. And
It's like
so
what Tracy said, he's a victim of the victim.
he's
So
a
like when
victim
you
of,
can put that lens on,
yes.
yeah.
So you just, so you stand across from the bridge, you place them across from you, just as that boy, you visualize them at that age, and you beam beautiful green light from heart chakra to heart chakra. And you just keep sending that green unconditional love to that. So it's still energy going to that soul to kind of soften it, to kind of build this release of anger that you have. So I say, if you
Mm,
can't forgive the person when you think of them now, go back
yeah.
before. Like, can you put a child in front of you and realize, I don't hate a child, you know?
Yeah.
So
I
anyway, it's
love
just
that.
another tool.
Yeah, it's great. I just have one more, and this is just coming
Yes,
up.
let's do it.
It's one of my favorite. And I've been painting her like, and she's been in my mind, my heart for the last, couple of months.
Yeah.
And I got this from the Sophia Code by Kyra, that I've been reading this. It's just an amazing story of these powerful women and these goddesses. And she writes about Kuan Yin, who is all about compassion, and subsequently forgiveness, right? Like that's
Yeah.
part of it. And her story is really powerful according to the Sophia Code, um, which is a really fucking great book. But it's out there. It's all, I mean, and I love out there, but I mean,
Would I love it?
you would love it. Yeah. I think it's really mind blowing. And it's just this story of her, she kind of talks about these, goddesses. And so Hathor is an Isis, and it's just a really cool perspective of these powerful goddesses, these women that in her world have actually incarnated on earth. And so Kuan Yin had suffered great atrocities in life according to the Sophia Code, right? Village burned down, raped, you know watching her family being murdered, like just like a horrible, horrible story. So she ends up in the forest, alone, and trying to survive. And so her story is all about this for this compassion, how she embraces compassion even though she'd suffered amazing atrocities. So if you're looking for that energy of compassion and forgiveness for yourself and for others, it might really serve you to bring her forward, her energy, to embrace her story and her love, because she is really powerful. She is really, really powerful. She actually reminds me a lot of my mom. My mom is, this immigrant woman who had an arranged marriage, moved from India to England, married a man she never knew, had 4 small children in 5.5 years. I mean, has struggled to read the difference between cornflakes and rat poison when she went shopping because it was in a different language. Her life was very hard. She had a really difficult life, and then moving to Canada and trying to just reinvent herself over and over again. And then having these children that, were Canadian. We were like, completely different kind of culturally than so I just think of Kuan Yin with her a lot, and I think just with Mother's Day and forgiveness and she really embodies that energy for me. I'm just so lucky to have her as my mom. I'm so lucky.
It's so very, yes, you are. And love to your mom. It's so interesting how kind of parallel our lives can be with our, immigrant mothers. I mean, my
Totally.
mom's journey is fucked up as well,
Yeah.
I mean, gosh, that's crazy. That would have been a great Mother's Day episode. Let's just say we should have talked about our mothers and their journey. We'll have to do that another time. But it's really powerful just to see, where we've come from and to honor their journey, how far and what they've done to sacrifice to make sure that our lives were better than theirs.
Yeah, it's like the immigrant dream, right? You always want to make your children's lives better than theirs. And that's been her goal. I mean, her and my father, that's been their goal the whole time. But, the things that she has suffered and endured, I know she hasn't told me everything. I know that. So, and as she gets older, she'll be we'll be at the pool, like in Hawaii and shit, like just hanging out with the kids, when they were really little. And I remember she went into this whole big story about something that happened to her when she was in England. And I just started sobbing. I was like, Mom, I mean, I'm like fucking 40 years old now. I had no idea. I had no idea. I just was like, so crazy how,
little bits and pieces start becoming revealed, right? As they heal.
Right. And what I think is happening is I think she's forgiving. Maybe that's what this episode, too, it's about. I think maybe she's starting to forgive them. And then she's also, starting to forgive herself and just opening up that compassion for herself. Because I feel Kuan Yin next to her a lot. I feel like she is really with her to help her process, a lot of that pain so that she can be in her full power. And empathy it's a huge backbone in a lot of Eastern religions, right? Like Buddhism. It's like, and Hinduism, like it's all about, and even Sikhism, it's like forgiving people for the atrocities that they have created, because it's not for them, it's for you.
Yeah. Right.
But I know that part of my research too, I was doing with this, with all the brain science and stuff, the American Psychological Association, right? They claim that when we learn the science of forgiveness, like the stuff that we're talking about, all these strategies, we actually start improving our mental and our physical health. Like there is an actual correlation. There are studies that have been done that show that even when you just try to forgive, meaning you haven't completely forgiven, but when you actually put in the effort to try, they're like those little baby steps that we were talking about earlier,
or even just set the intention, like I'm gonna try this,
I'm gonna try to release this. I want to try to release this, right? Your energy levels go down. So there is an absolute correlation between the attempt, just trying, And I know this. I love this. He's one of these meditation gurus, and he was talking. There's this great big study about meditation and the brain waves and all this kind of stuff. And this one woman, I'll never forget the story. I thought it was so cool. Her brain waves were like off the charts, like they were like completely like in like quantum realm, like in this meditation. And they had like all these different people with, their brains, or they're in meditation mode, and they're checking all of the alpha waves. And
I want to do that so bad.
Oh my God, me too. But this one woman, she was like just crazy off the charts, compared to the other people. And so they were like, oh my God, what were you thinking about? Like, what were you thinking about when you were doing this meditation? Because you're tapping into some shit, like something's happening here that's palpable and quantitated, right? And she said, you know what is really interesting? She said, I was thinking about my ex-husband and what a fucking douchebag that he is, and I was trying to forgive him. That's what she was doing in that meditation. She said, I was just really trying hard to forgive that fucker. That's all I was thinking. And I just, like, every cell in my body was like, wow, our bodies want to forgive.
Yes.
We don't want to hold it anymore if we don't have to. Yeah.
We don't want to hold on to anger and rage and disgust and annoyance, all of that. No, it's ease and peace, inside.
Freedom. Yeah. So if this hits a nerve with you all, if this resonates with you, forgiveness, even just the baby step of release, even just asking the question, what are you ready to release today? Who are you ready to forgive? What story are you ready to rewrite? Yes.
Start with yourself first. I would say if there's anything that you feel you need to forgive yourself for, even if it's silly, it could be big, small. I mean, whatever it is, just kind of sit with that. And I hope that the show does kind of ignite that within yourself to see what it is that you need to release in your life that is not serving you any longer.
Yeah. And as a light worker, for us to show up in our full power, to shine the light for others, right? To help others navigate in the darkness. We owe it to ourselves to forgive ourselves, right? So that we can show up in our power and be the light worker that we are meant to be. Yeah.
Agreed. Yeah. Here's the light workers. Yeah.
We
got the light. So find those dark spots, those shadows that are still kind of sneaking around, and shed some light on it. So this is a good episode. Good job, man.
Oh my God, we're so amazing.
We're fun. I don't know how fun it is. This is pretty heavy. It was like,
we're like, well, then we turned a hard left right there. Okay, let's go back to the right. I don't know what's going on. No, it was great. I you know what? I think that's just how we roll. And we really thank all of you listeners for being in our studio.
And viewers now.
And viewers.
Yes. Because if you want to watch, you have a choice now. You can listen, you can watch, you could do both. But either way, please subscribe, rate, review, like us, and let others know that we're out here. And soon we'll be doing these live where you can call in and ask us a question, where we could help you with whatever's going on in your world. So Lightworkers Unite. Yeah. Love you, man. This was awesome.
We love you. I love you. I love you. I love you. Namaste, everybody.
Bye.